After my dad suffered the stroke, my mother had to develop some new, unique coping strategies to help her manage her loneliness, her isolation, and the emotional stress of caring for a man who was now very different from the husband that she had known and loved for the last 51 years. And one of the things that she did on a regular basis was disengage her emotional monitor, go to her word processor, and then she would write to me about everything that was happening and exactly how she felt about it. And I ended up editing her letters into this book, Letters from Madelyn, Chronicles of a Caregiver. But the book that inspired me to write Letters from Madelyn was actually her response to this book, Your Erroneous Zones by Dr. Wayne Dyer. And I can imagine the morning that she wrote this letter. She would have been standing at the kitchen sink. And she would have been wearing her apron, because she always wore her apron, because if you wear an apron, you don't get your clothes dirty, and you don't have to wash them as often, and they don't wear out. So I can imagine that she was standing there doing the dishes, and she was just steaming. So she would have been washing them and then slamming them into the drainer. And at some point, she would have realized she had two choices. She could either stand there and explode, or she could go to her word processor and write to me. So this is what she had to say. Dear Elaine, I am so upset over the advice that is being given to people today about doing your own thing and to hell with everybody else. And I think that's one of the reasons that there's so much unhappiness and so many divorces in the world right now. And I think Dr. Wayne Dyer had a lot to do with it when he wrote this book, Your Erroneous Zones. I started reading this book and I got so angry and up on my high horse, I just had to put it down. I couldn't even finish it. There were two things that upset me about this book. And the first thing is, I don't think Dr. Dyer understands that there are two genders. Seems to me he's only aware of the male. And then he just keeps pounding away at this idea that a person should do whatever he wants to do. Did you hear that? Whatever he wants to do. Well, as an old lady, I am here to tell anyone who will listen that life is not made up of doing what you want to do. When a person commits to marriage and parenthood, your time of living your life for yourself is over. Forever. Fortunately, I have learned how to find my own peace and happiness from within, which is a good thing. Because to tell you the truth, I can't think of anything that's all that exciting or invigorating about getting up in the morning and fixing breakfast and then doing the dishes and starting a load of laundry and then doing housework and picking up the papers and helping your father and then going back and fixing lunch and doing the dishes and doing more laundry and more housework and more helping your father. For me, an exciting day might consist of maybe having an interesting telephone conversation, or possibly running into somebody I know in the grocery store or on the street. And for this I should take vitamins? I should eat right and exercise so I can prolong this wonderful life experience? No, give me a break. No, my joy in life comes from finding my own peace and happiness from within. And the thing that I've discovered about having my joy from inside is that I can stay more or less detached and still do what needs to be done to give other people a reasonable amount of happiness. Well, I believe that my mother's detached attitude was actually her secret to survival. And over the years, it eventually morphed into what she called an attitude of creative indifference. And I asked her when we were talking on the phone one day, so I said, Mom, what's the difference between being detached and being creatively indifferent? And she said, oh, hell, there's no difference. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I just think detached sounds a little cold. So I like the term creative indifference better. She said, but what it means is not allowing yourself to become emotionally ravaged by the disease or the progression of events. So as I was editing her letters into this book, I realized she actually had a 3-step process that she employed every time she came up against a person, a situation, or an event that was causing her to feel stressed. And there were actually 3 steps to this. And the steps are to become aware, to accept, and to take action. So there are lots of ways to become aware. And I think that you can think about it, you can talk about it, but the most effective way is to sit down and write about it. So grab a pad and a pen or go to your computer or whatever device you use, and then just write down whatever person's situation or event is causing you to feel stressed. So that's the first step. And then the second step is acceptance. And this is the hardest step for any of us because we have to accept that there are things over which we will have no control, including the progression of a disease, the eventual outcome, or the behavior of other people. Wouldn't it be awesome if we could? But we can't. So when you get to that point, then the third step is action. And there are actually 2 parts to this. If there is a problem that has a solution, that's amazing and awesome and wonderful, because if there is a way to solve it, then you can make a plan, you can execute the plan, and you can move on. But more often than not, especially if you are caring for someone who has Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, Huntington's, MS, another long-term progressive and degenerative disease, there are no solutions. It's not going to get better. You cannot fix it. And that's when you have to choose between obsessing over it and letting it be the first thing that you think about every morning when you wake up, the last thing you think about at night, and the thing that wakes you up at 3 a.m., or releasing your emotional attachment to it. So in upcoming videos, we're going to be talking about how you can apply these 3 steps of creative indifference to the people, the situations, and the events that cause you the greatest amount of stress. So please, if you like this and find it helpful, subscribe, share, and come back. We'll be posting these videos regularly. Bye for now.